We went back and looked from year 2000. We have retired 69 people that had 30 plus years of service or more.
That's an incredible thing to celebrate. It's also an incredible challenge.
Yes, I think
we actually promote that in a way that if we have somebody that we get an inkling that they're going to leave, they're a good employee, I always talk with them, and my comment is I'm never going to get in your way. If you don't want to be here, go fly somewhere else. If it's a great opportunity for you, have at it. What we have found over the years is when that happens, often they return.
Welcome to Making Sparks, the podcast where we ignite your passion for metal fabrication and fuel your business success. Join industry leaders and dive deep into the world of metalworking. From business insights to tips of the trade, Making Sparks is your forge of knowledge. During each episode, discover success stories, innovative solutions, and expert interviews that light the path to business growth. Subscribe today and grow and improve your company, and let's make sparks fly together.
We've engaged with several videographers. We're doing a ton of video content. Never did that before. Refreshed, really are putting our core values out front and center. We refined our mission statement. It was a little too wordy and lengthy. We've tried to get more deliberate with that. So it's just, needle movers, but hanging fruit, really. I mean, it's I'm enthralled by your, I guess it's a philosophy, be big, act small.
Yep.
That resonated with me, and I love that. I've said that in many meetings to our folks.
I've worked really hard to not only simplify that message, but define it internally. So you mentioned philosophy, and it is that, but the way I define it internally is it's a strategy and a culture. Like those two concepts, right? One is like more of the feeling and the philosophy behind it. The other is the how, because there's a strategy component to be big, act small too. It's like you can say that, but okay, how are we actually going to execute on that idea? So let's do the intro.
Welcome back to Making Sparks. We're here at FabTech 2025, and there's really loud noise, so hopefully you can still hear me. We're here sitting at the multi-press booth on day 3, right off the bat, right when it's getting ready to kick off. Some people may have snuck in to be able to be on this podcast. We're sitting here with Matthew Nix, where as you're going to learn all the noise. I have no idea if that's going to be picked up. We'll find out. Anyway, as you're going to learn, me and Matthew have done a few of these episodes at FabTech separately. I am going to wait because that is really loud.
That's what I
Plus, I think you just need to get to the damn point.
Sorry. We got some special guests who snuck in a little early, but we'll let them tell about that. Can you introduce who our guests are? Oh, also, sorry, hold on. Thank you to Multipress for letting us use your booth. That's really, really nice of you guys. All right, now go.
You're the host. You're not going to do the introductions?
No, I can. We got Marc, and I'm going to read their names so I'll forget, right? We got Marc and Mike Goodhart here.
Brothers, right?
Cousins.
Cousins.
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna talk about that.
We talk about being
Cousin consortium.
Yes.
That's what they call it in the family business world.
But you guys work together, right?
We do. Every day.
Yeah.
Very close.
I guess just tell us a little bit about your guys' business, a little background on each of you guys, whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, we're a steel fabricator, multi-trade erector. Our 90th year in business this year. We're pretty proud of that. I think we're getting to Gen4 and you're in Generation 5, so you know the statistics. Less than 5% make it to Generation 4. I can't imagine what it is to Generation 5.
I think it's significantly less than 5%.
It's got to be. I heard 3. Somewhere there.
Single digits for sure.
But it's we're very proud about that. So it's our 90th year in business. I'm president of the organization. Been at that seat since 2008. And doing it for quite a long time, and work with this guy every day, and I think we make a pretty darn good dovetail in terms of the fabrication side of our business. My brother, Chad, heads up and is president of our field service division. Okay. It's an interesting dynamic, being in the industry. Field service and manufacturing, the challenges are completely different.
Absolutely.
So he absolutely has his eye on the ball there. I have absolutely my eye on the ball on the manufacturing side of the business, and I think that's why it works so well. So
yeah.
I'm sort of the mediator sometimes between two sides of the business, but because they dovetail. We install the things that we fabricate.
Sure.
But a lot of times we're installing things, other people's equipment. So
Yeah.
I think the three of us together make it.
We got a pretty good target.
That was one thing I was going to ask. So are there more folks involved in Gen 4 than the three of you? Or in any generation, Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 5?
So Gen 3 is completely out.
Yeah.
They're completely out and been out for several years now. In Gen 4, I've got a younger brother who really didn't want to get into the management of the company. He's a project manager in our field service division, travels the country. We don't see him much. He's boots on the ground. That actually works very well, I think, because he can be a voice and a pulse for us to the floor, to the field. That we feel that we're making sound decisions that hit the mark.
Yeah. So you have another brother that's president of the field service division, and this is yet another brother that, just to be clear, so two.
I have two younger brothers in the business.
Yeah.
And then Mike. So we are the four current
And Mike is a
owners.
cousin.
You got it.
Yeah. The lone cousin. Yeah.
Yes.
Actually, I shouldn't say that. We have Leslie, our female cousin. There's not too many females in our business, but
She works in our accounting
she works in
department.
accounting.
She's a non-owner, but is in the business.
How did your, and if at any point you don't want to talk about this, it's fine, but I think, there's a lot of family business folks in our audience, and so I think it's really interesting. How did you all go about the decisions? And I'm assuming that was the Gen 3, your parents and aunts and uncles that made this decision, but how'd you go about the decision, or how'd they go about the decision of ownership versus W-2? Because every family handles that a little bit different. So do you have to be an employee to have ownership?
You do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Must
So that's
be in the
fundamental. I mean, but some
Absolutely.
families don't do it that way.
I know.
They might have, I know a family that there's 17 cousins and siblings that own the company, but only 3 run the company. And so you get a W-2 paycheck for running the company, and you get a distribution if it's profitable
No,
for being an owner. Those are two different things.
For that ownership opportunity, you had to put the sweat equity into the business. That was absolute must.
That's the way we're set up as
Okay.
well.
Yeah.
We've
And I think it
already,
works.
We've already defined that for the next generation.
That makes sense.
Going for Gen 6, as they get old enough to understand, they'll know that to be an owner, you have to not only be a team member but be a manager, and we sort of set forth how that will take place.
And I think that's why it worked for us. I mean, and you probably the same way. I mean, since I was probably 10, summer breaks, holidays, we were ingrained in the business. And in fairness, my dad after college says, if you don't want to come into the business, you don't have to. It's up to you. But I think it served us well doing every remedial task, every thing that you could possibly think of, the worst jobs, just the worst and it gains the respect of people that are working in a family business, because there's always eyes on you, amongst the ranks, and I get that. So you have to prove yourself. You have to put that sweat equity in. You have to earn your stripes.
Hey guys, it's Nick from Making Chips, and I gotta tell you about our new show, Lights Out. When someone talks about being lights out, what comes to mind? For me, it's Michael Jordan, he's got the ball, the game's on the line, or it's Leo Messi taking that ball up to take a penalty in a penalty shootout. These guys are elite, and they're unstoppable, and you just know they're not gonna miss. But I also think about the technology, automation, process, and most importantly, the mindset of the manufacturing leaders with the best shops in the world. Every episode will equip and inspire you to run lights out so you can sleep soundly while your shop never stops. Because we all know, if you're not making chips, you're not making money. So check out the new Lights Out podcast by Making Chips. I will see you there.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said though for the family succession with just the team members. I have found, just studying this topic not only in our business but in others, that I think there's predominantly the team members want the family succession to happen, but even if they don't consciously think about it, subconsciously they sort of believe that that's probably the best steward for the business, right?
100%.
You're thinking about, like, what do they care about? They care about stability. Do the owners of the company really care about my well-being?
Absolutely.
And, is it going to be around next year and the year
Yep.
after? I mean,
Right.
the real fundamental things that, an average team member cares about. So sometimes it's not more complicated than that.
You're very true. And if we look at our average tenure, we've retired a lot of people in the past 5-ish years.
I think
and
that's
even
awesome.
beyond,
Like,
yeah.
If they were there to retire, I think that's awesome.
Well,
Sorry,
I forget the stat, and our HR director could tell you, but we went back and looked from year 2000. We have retired 69 people that had 30 plus years of service or more.
That's an incredible thing to celebrate. It's also an incredible challenge.
Yes, I think you were going on the challenge
what
side.
have
and I
you
was
done?
hearing like a celebration.
Yeah, we're going to go
side.
on all kind of tangents here. But what have you done to transfer that tribal knowledge, that institutional knowledge? So say that stat again. Since what year?
Year 2000,
Since
we have
2000.
retired 69 individuals that had 30 plus years of service or more.
And what's your total head count today?
We're running about 125.
Yeah, so essentially half of your workforce
Correct.
in the last 20, more than half your workforce in the last 20 years has turned over in retirement, which means like a tremendous amount of that institutional knowledge went with them. So what are some, maybe if you could just say like 2 or 3
One of
points.
the things we did was, and it's an unofficial program, but we have a mentor-mentee program. We'll pair that mentor with the mentee, and as much as that tribal knowledge and that institutional knowledge of the mentor is crucial, you better darn well have the right mentee to absorb it and be a sponge.
If you pour all that into them and then
We've
they leave
learned
in
that
a
the
year or
hard
two.
way.
Yeah.
So just weren't compatible.
No.
Mentor-mentee.
So we've done that. We know we've done that pretty systemically. Trade schools. We're blessed to be in an area that has wonderful, wonderful trade schools. Thaddeus Stevens. We have a wonderful career and technology center. So we've gotten on all the advisory boards.
Yeah.
We try to set the
Like
curriculum.
this.
We give scholarships.
Yeah, we do that too, yeah.
A little cool story. We had co-op program going on with the CTC. We had 4 active co-ops in the business that were working. I actually presented them offers at the end of their co-op. They all signed on the spot. They're full-time employees.
We do that too. We started doing the signing day where we
We had
same
the
thing.
signing day with our.
That's cool.
It was really
have the
cool.
banner
So
up. We bring the parents in to be a part of it.
We haven't done that
Yeah.
actually. I like that
I
idea.
tell you something else we've started doing is the local high schools around us have like a day where they celebrate all the scholarships that everybody gets. We hand out those scholarships. But what we've also started doing is handing out full-time job offers up on the stage. So imagine the entire high school student body's there. And we always make a point to say, this gentleman or this lady is getting a full-time offer with 401k,
Cool.
health insurance, all these things, and no student debt.
That's big. For a group of
That's
18-year-olds, that resonates big.
Yeah. We're taking it a step further, and this Friday we're doing our first externship. So we're actually bringing teachers through, and we have a whole day that we're spending with the teachers, so they can see what we're all about, and they can promote kids.
You need to listen to this.
That is a
So-
great idea.
We actually have a project set up that the
Help train
teachers are going to make. It's a pen and pencil set, and they're going to tack weld that together. And,
Brilliant.
And kudos to Heather on that.
That was
she's
another
organized and
Heather
championed
idea.
that.
Yeah, because that's the teachers and the parents as well. That's the other thing. If you can really influence the parents and they can see, because there's that old thing that, the trades is fine for thee, but not for me, right? Not for my kids, But
So you guys are teaching the teachers, because one way you could do that too. So we're doing it with the Career and Tech. They have a video side, and so we're actually going in for a whole semester and doing a branding video for the Career and Tech Center with their senior level video.
Oh wow, that's awesome! Yeah,
So
we have it set up. I mean, we have multiple tour guides. We're going to be touring 4 teachers at a time going through. I think there's like 15 teachers coming through, and then we're basically we have a panel set up from all different aspects of our company that they're going to be able to ask the panel Q&A type stuff. We have our 3rd generation coming in to show the longevity of the family business, and then we have a project for them that they're going to be actually put a little sweat equity into, tack welding something together that they can take with them and put on their desks.
Yeah, that's really cool. So we've talked a lot about what you've done to recruit that next level of talent, but what about transition and the knowledge? So one thing was the mentor-mentee. Anything else you've done? And then maybe talk about like practically speaking, what does that mentor-mentee look like?
What about like when they retire? Like, do any of them stay on part time and help train?
Well, so it used to be, and that's a great point.
That's a great point. Yeah.
It used to be, the old school mentality was when you're done, you're done. We're not going to really dance around that part time, and we're going to start fresh with somebody new. We absolutely will give anybody that has in good graces with the company and it's going out on top that opportunity. If they want to work part time, bring it on.
Yeah, we do. We do too.
So I will never ever say no to that because
it's been some of the best mentors.
And they're in a mindset. What we have seen when they're in that part time mode, they're actually even more of they can be more of a mentor. Yeah. They can be more deliberate with that transfer of knowledge.
Yeah. Be a teacher.
So they're truly there because they want to be there.
Correct.
Like imagine just
go back and teach, right?
The mind shift of that. Yeah. I think that's gold to do that. Yeah.
So that's something that we've been doing for the past, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 years.
7. Think back to Carl. I think he was the original.
Yeah.
So what's the mentor-mentee look like? Hey, give us just a kind of a practically speaking.
The one thing that comes to mind, and I'm going to talk about George and Cameron when we work with them. Yeah. And so we had a multi-generational employee. Our superintendent's son came into the business and really came in from scratch. We paired him up with one of our guys that was with us probably 35 years that was just a rock star fabricator. And they were together, I would say it was probably close to 1 full year. That we knew that the projects weren't going to be completely efficient doing it that way. That's okay because I didn't really care about that. But he learned the trade and the task from really somebody that was pretty much best in class.
So you're really just putting them working together. I mean, it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. Say you guys work together and we're probably going to get 1.5 times the billable hours out of this, right?
But now Cameron is our superintendent in our shop. So it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Do you guys focus on that? Like you were talking about putting it in the wrong person. Like, are you guys pretty transparent? Like, hey, we're taking the time to do this mentoring. I know Matthew. There was a speech when I worked internally with Nick's. You said something about like if you're not, I forget how you said it. But if you're not on the train, that's okay. Get out.
But I said I'll help you. I said I'll help you find another place to work. And I mean it.
Yeah.
I'll call a bunch of my friends that own businesses and I can get you a job tomorrow. I mean, if you're a decent person, and what I meant was if you're just not in the right spot, you're not in the right.
You're still giving your 100%, then we give like I've taken that with our small team. I tell them all the time when we hire, I said I will, because I didn't like when I had bosses that were like almost like either withholding knowledge from you because they were scared you were going to leave, and so you couldn't give them your all, or vice versa. Like mostly it was that, but like also like they just didn't want to give you knowledge because of that, and I'm like the more I feel like I'm empowered, the more I'm going to give you.
We actually promote that in a way that if we have somebody that we get an inkling that they're going to leave, they're a good employee, I always talk with them, and my comment is I'm never going to get in your way. If you don't want to be here, go fly somewhere else. If it's a great opportunity for you, have at it. What we have found over the years is when that happens, often they return.
Yeah.
And they return with a much better perspective that the grass is not greener.
Yeah.
And I did have it pretty good here. And so we kind of use that as, we harness that into leverage.
Yeah, same here. Yeah. We've got a young man now that is just in his late 20s. Yeah, I don't think he's even 30 yet. Same thing. He hired on with us right out of high school. Thought he wanted to have a career in law enforcement. So, hey, good for you. He started back to school. Decided that wasn't for him. He rejoined the organization, and since rejoining, he's worked his way up, and now he's running an entire business unit, P&L for us with 20 team members, and he was joking with me. He said, I want your job someday. And I said, well,
I can't figure out who you're talking about now.
Yeah, Dakota. I said, well, a couple things. I said, first of all, you damn sure aren't going to get it without having that attitude. So good on you for starting with that. And I said, secondly, you're already running a larger business than I was at your age. So you're on the right track.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know.
And he's awesome.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
But to your point, he was a guy that left it. Had we burned the bridge with him when he left, we wouldn't have a wonderful leader in our team right now.
And we tell people when they go, there's people that don't go out the right way.
That's different.
That's different.
That's different.
But if they're going out the right way, we'll let them know that. And, it's not like there's a guarantee, but the door is open.
Yeah, the
door is
conversation
open.
is
The
Probably
conversation
find
can
a
happen.
spot for them if
Right.
they come back. You know.
I have a slogan that trying to keep things simple and memorable for our team. I preach this all the time. Casey's probably heard it. I said, we treat people on the last day the way we treat them on the first day.
Yep.
And if you adhere to that, like, it's amazing. And a lot of them don't come back, but they become customers. 3 months after they're leaving, they're sending you purchase
subcontractors,
orders,
something, you know?
or they just advocate. We had a situation a while back where we actually had to fire a guy, but he fired himself. It was one of those kind of things. Like, another thing I always say, if you have to fire somebody and they're surprised, you have failed them as a leader.
I agree.
And
Very true.
we had a politician come through our facility. I've probably told this story on the podcast before, but had a politician come through our facility, and our marketing department posted it on social media. Of course, you're opening yourself up to ridicule there. So people were jumping on and commenting, and some people were for it, some people were hateful. This guy that we fired came to our defense on social media and was like, "You don't know what you're talking about. These are great people, the best people I ever worked for." And we're like, damn, if they only knew we fired this guy.
Yeah.
But again, the point is, if you treat people with respect and dignity.
Yeah, I mean, we had over the years had to let some people go, and firing would probably be a strong word. I don't know that we termed it that way, but in a sense,
we parted ways.
We had to part ways.
That's how I turn.
But those people, we did it in such a way to preserve that dignity and respect, which is our number one core value, the golden rule. They still come to all the functions that we have. Picnics, Christmas parties, and they're invited. I mean, but so it's not everybody, but there are a certain handful of people that we did it, I feel, the right way. That you did preserve that dignity and respect on their way out.
Well, I can remember some third generation stories, and I couldn't recite the names, but people that were fired that thanked them, years later, and saw the error of their ways and maybe grew up a little bit. So
Yeah.
I like how you said that. Going out that day is the same as the first. It's that basic dignity.
Yeah.
Hey guys, it's Nick from Making Chips. I want to give you 3 quick reasons why you should check out Mike Payne's podcast, By the Numbers. Mike, my good buddy, my partner on Making Chips, is full of wisdom. He's full of experience. He's full of what it takes to buy, sell, and lead a business, specifically a manufacturing business. So all the numbers that you should be focused on to improve your performance, that's what he's the master at. The second reason, Mike's the first person I call. If I'm looking at a new idea, a new partnership opportunity, a new acquisition, any new initiative where I need to dive into the numbers and figure out how to approach it, Mike is who I go to. And third, you got to love that buttery Tulsa King voice that Mike rocks. It just soothes your soul. It gives you the confidence to elevate your leadership. Jokes aside, if you love making chips, or if you're just passionate about improving your business performance and the financial performance of your company, check out By the Numbers by Making Chips, hosted by my good buddy, Mike Payne.
Good stuff.
And I think, when you talk about the transfer of that knowledge, one thing I told our board, and I tell all of our team leaders, is the trick now is, because we put a lot of time, money, and effort into recruitment, bringing these younger people on, getting them onboarded, getting them trained. Retention is now where we have focused. That we've got to, and our motto there is little things matter. It's funny. I tell this story. We did a profit sharing program 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And unveiled this thing, and it's been a huge success. It's been wonderful. But a year after that, we reinvented our work boot policy. That they get work boots. I heard more chatter about the work boots than I did about the profit sharing. And I think the profit sharing is a long-term play. I mean, you got to really be visionary with that. But the work boots are in their hands.
They're putting them on everybody.
Is the profit sharing? I've got several questions here on that. Again, as a fellow business owner and leader, I'm very interested in this. Is the profit sharing, is that a long-term incentive plan? Meaning, do they get? So I'm assuming it's tied to your annual performance. Is it an annual?
It is an annual.
And is that a cash bonus, or does it go into something that vests over time?
It's a vesting. We do it through a mechanism through our 401k program.
Got it.
So it is a long-term visionary play.
Do you do any cash bonus along with that?
We do not. I'm trying to. No, there's no cash bonus on an annual basis.
I've heard just something to think about. So we're the opposite. So we both maybe need to think about combining the two. We do a cash bonus program that's paid quarterly.
Okay.
We don't have any long-term vesting profit sharing program for our team members yet, although that's something I'm thinking about in the future.
Yeah.
We do have we have 13 partners now. So a lot of leadership shares in the success of the company long term. So we kind of have that in place. But there's a lot of research that suggests some combination of the two is like, because you get that instant gratification of, you know, like you can see the behaviors that drove the results, the reward comes closer to that. But then also you're balancing that long-term thinking with, you know, sometimes we might have to take a step back, take a step forward kind of thing, right? And we're thinking long-term. So
from an employee standpoint, I think the short term is more going to the boots. When I came to Nick's, I thought that was cool, the bonus. I had never worked anywhere that did a bonus like that, and I thought that was neat. Like if I could, and the way you guys have it structured is the whole team or your unit or whatever works towards a certain goal, and it's not always monetary. It's like these. It's monetary. It can be, but does that make sense? Yeah. But with that being said, as you mature, your guys' way makes a lot of like. I wish, you know, I also had that opportunity too.
Yeah,
right?
we did the whole compounding conversation because our young, 21-year-olds, they're not getting it. They don't understand that.
There's an education.
There's an education that comes with that. But there's some hybrid approach I think does make sense. And as I'm sitting here thinking about it, does that? Yeah, exactly. Does that reach every person on the floor? Then?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah. So it's
and it's tiered, I assume, the way you do it.
Sure. Yeah. And I'm happy to share like some generalities. Like, it would be, you know, at an entry level, it might be like 5% of somebody's income. And then at more of like a frontline leader level, it would go up to maybe 10% of your income. And then at a management, mid-level management, it might be 20-25% of your income. And at senior leadership level, it's 30 to 40% of your income. So, you know, the higher up the org chart you go, of course, the opportunity to make more money's there, but more of it's at risk as well. Right. We have to perform. Yeah. And it does two things. One, it heavily incentivizes people to perform, but it also allows us to contract our payroll a little bit in the lean years, you know. And so I've really been intentional, and I've really been trying to preach to our leadership team about why we want to balance it that way, because remember in those lean years when we didn't have to lay anybody off, because we all share in the pain together, and it's a mathematical system. You didn't have to go out and you know, say or do anything. It just happens. If the profits shrink, the payroll shrinks by, you know, let's call it 15%, you know, whatever the average of that is. And then you do that and along with shrinking overtime, you know, next thing you know, you can lean down the payroll pretty substantially to get through the lean times. And so I like it for that reason too. There's always this natural gravitation and inclination as we hire people that it starts to tilt heavier to base and less to the bonus. And I'm always trying to fight back against that a little bit. And it's not a problem I think we'll ever solve. It's a tension you manage, you know, and you keep.
We try to quantify, you know, the benefits to new hires and to, you know, in dollars and cents, you know, what you're signing up to work with a company. We have a pretty rich health benefit plan. We tried to quantify that in some way so people know generally, you know, it's not just the wage. There's many other aspects that tie to it.
Yeah. So that profit sharing goes into the 401k account?
It does.
Yeah.
And it's a separate line item in there. That's correct.
So are you matching regular match as well?
We have our regular matches, which are basically that's a whole separate.
Yeah. So you got the regular 401k match, and then on top of that, this profit sharing gets distributed into that. Yeah.
Got it.
And that vests over time. Yeah. Yeah. I like that a lot. Yeah. Very good. What else you got for us?
Well, we got a lot of questions, but I'm just going through like some of them you guys have answered without even realizing you guys were going on the conversation. So I love that's how when we do videos, that's how that happens. Like I'll have these questions and it ends up being natural. Yeah. But I do like this one. It said, you know, how do you actively pass down culture? Like obviously with like you guys are in a little bit different situation than with Matthew. Matthew took over when it was your grandpa, your dad, and your aunt, and you grew and like developed a culture, right? You guys may have already had a culture with the third gen a little bit. And how do you get it where people they don't just like they get it, they get the feeling without like you guys having, or you don't just want to expect people to get it, I guess.
So one thing that we were pretty intentional about, so my grandfather created the company objectives probably in the late 60s or early 70s. There was probably 10 or 12 of these company objectives. I remember it vividly. I went to the board probably in 2017. I said, there's too many of those. They're not memorable. Not that they're not good, but there's just too many, right? Simple, short and sweet. We need to pivot from there. So the board went on it was probably 3 years of back and forth that we wanted to distill down from his original company objectives into our today core values. And we have 3. It's the golden rule, it's commitment, and it's sense of urgency. And if you look at our logo, they're all in a circular fashion because they all feed off each other. There's not one that trumps the other. The golden rule was his number 1, and we ported that directly over. But so yeah, we were very intentional about bringing those up, and we made a big deal when we rolled those out to our people. And now, every new hire that comes through, I have a meet and greet with them to get to know each other a little bit better. But I give the whole history of our core values, and I really go into depth on each one of them and what it means to the company. And they are the cornerstone of our culture. If the culture isn't right, nothing's right. Nothing else matters to me. The culture has to be.
Teach skills, but
That's
we'll teach and train the skills
yeah.
all day long. We have enough resources to do that. But when you're going to hire somebody, you want to make sure that they're going to represent and uphold your core values each and every day.
Well, you sitting down with them right out of the gate sets the tone. Do you do that individually?
Huh?
Do you do that individually?
I do it. I lead the meeting, but I make sure their team leaders are there. Their team leader is there, and our superintendents. Mike usually sits in that with me. And,
but it's one team member that's come in. Yeah, that's great. I do it as well. I mean, most people aren't doing what we're doing, but I do it in cohort groups, so I just do it monthly. It's probably even more impactful what you're doing, but we've just tried to be efficient. And I guess maybe there is. I see value in a cohort style community where they're in there together, but it's maybe as few as 2 people and as many as 8 or 9, depending on how many people we hire that month.
It makes sense. But that's been huge, and I think one of the cool things, when we set these core values up, we were all around the horn with, all these different wonderful core values that we were coming up with. And I said, he said time out, and I don't know where I heard it, but I said, those are aspirational.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Put those to the side. What is in our DNA that sets us apart from everybody else?
I heard that in a book or podcast somewhere too. I don't remember what it was, but
put the aspirational aside. What is in our DNA that sets us apart?
What do you use I have a question. I've been working with a company that they have one core value that is, every time we ask someone about that core value, they're like, yeah, we need to work on that. But they all believe it's so important. It's celebrate the wins is what it was. They're all like, we don't celebrate the wins enough, and we need to do that. What do you do with that aspiration? Do you do it? Can you have an aspirational core value?
Yeah, I think in many ways ours still are, but we really wanted to define day in and day out. To a large extent, I think that's what we sell. We sell the relationship, the commitment, and the sense of urgency. We're going to roll up our sleeves and get it done. I mean, there's a lot of people cutting weld metal. We all know that. Yeah. But where's our differentiation?
Well, they're always aspirational in a sense that we're never where we want to be.
Exactly.
But the difference, and I think what you're saying is it things that we truly embody now. And we would say, we're not where we want to be, but people would say, they have a sense of urgency. I've worked with them. I buy that, right? Or they follow the golden rule, as opposed to, something they were like, I don't know about that.
Well, the cool thing is, and the power in this was, this has happened a few times, the last thing we want to do is fire somebody. I don't like, and I don't enjoy, whoever likes to fire somebody, there's something wrong with them, right? But it's a necessary evil sometimes. And one of the cool things that has developed is our team leaders actually have held me to account. When I'm vacillating on a decision, and they're like, is he really living the golden rule? Does he really have that sense of commitment that you're looking? So they're holding me to account to really emphasize and put forth our core values. When that happens, that's magic.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yep. Yeah, we had a situation a couple weeks ago where we had an accident, and we were evaluating whether or not we were going to terminate this person. Okay. And one of our guiding principles is, I want to come back to that too, because we kind of did the same thing. I wrote longer guiding principles. We have distilled down into 5 core values, but I've kept this longer, and we actually refer to it as our Constitution. I tried to do what your grandfather did, which was try to create it's a whole page document, and it's not something that people are going to memorize, but more of something that we go back to as leaders to say, this is what's important to our organization. So anyways, one of those is we want to treat team members the way we want our family to be treated. It's kind of a spin on the golden rule, right? But in this situation, we were thinking about terminating this guy, and we realized that the only reason that we were going to terminate him was to avoid some kind of a backlash of a legal or OSHA backlash, right, from the accident. And so then we really thought about it and said, all right, the right thing to do is, we've got to work through this, but we've got to keep him on. We have to deal with the repercussions that come. If we say that, so that's where that accountability comes in. Sometimes just writing it down creates enough self-accountability, because I got to, at least once a month, I got to sit in front of all these team members and tell them this is how we do business. And it's not,
You better do it how you're saying it.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm interested in your board. So we have a board as well. I'd love to hear how that's organized and what the structure of that is.
It's forever and a day, it's been family. And currently right now, the entire fourth generation sits on the board, has a board seat.
When you say entire, you mean everyone that's an owner or the entire?
Any employee of the company that is a fourth generation. Actually, I take that back because Leslie is not on the board. It's an owner.
Yeah. Any fourth generation that's an owner and active in the company is on the board.
Sitting on the board.
They have a vote?
They do.
Yeah. Okay.
They do. And we have our third generation. All of them are still with us, and they are still actively on the board, and they have a vote. Recently, as we look towards the future and just figure things out, we felt it. My brother and I sit on a couple of CEO peer groups, and one thing that we've been talking about for years, and finally did it, pulled the trigger. We brought a non-family board.
Great, good for you. Good for you.
We wanted non-emotional attachment. To the.
You just have one right now.
Just one, but I see that maybe taking shape. And pivoting, maybe we're going to do 2 or 3 year terms with this outside board member, and contingent on where our needs are, might pivot that advisory mentality.
I highly encourage you to do that. We have outside board members, and I would say it's one of the single most impactful things we've ever done. And here's just a few quick things I think that that board member will bring. You already mentioned the non-emotional viewpoint, but everybody behaves better at the board meetings when they're there. And that doesn't necessarily mean conflict. That's where people's minds first go, and it does help with that. But people just sit up straighter in their chair, they dress up a little bit nicer, and they take it more seriously. And we pay these people to be there, so it's like, by God, we better get a little bit out of this, you know. People just behave better,
I 100%,
including myself, by the way. I'm including myself.
To have the family now. Listen, guys, there's an outsider coming on. Let's get
our act together. Let's prepare for the meeting. Let's make sure we've got our shit together before the meeting starts.
And we've limited these board meetings now to an hour and a half, 2 hours max.
Absolute max.
Back in the day.
Oh, it used to be a marathon.
Everybody would get up on their soapbox in these board meetings, and you could have a 5 or 6 hour board meeting. It was ridiculous, you know. And I was guilty just as everybody was.
It helps keep
getting on that soapbox.
So do you have clearly defined what requires board votes? You have governance structure that says, so I would assume, and just to keep it really high level, because a lot of the people listening may have never done anything like this, and maybe you are, maybe you aren't, but I would assume you've probably got an annual budget that as the president you can operate within. You don't need to, if you need to hire, remove somebody, or change vendors, whatever, that's all within your operating budget. You probably approve an operating budget annually at the board level.
We're a little more loosey-goosey with that. We certainly look at every penny that's being spent, and we have an idea of what the budget is, but we do not approve a yearly budget.
You don't officially approve.
We don't officially go through that.
I think for a long time, everybody on that board was daily in operations. We met for every topic.
So there was not a need for that.
Correct.
Whereas we're reporting to our board, who's not in the business at all. And then the other end of the spectrum would be, if you're going to do a multi-million-dollar expansion, you're probably voting on that.
100%.
Yeah.
Right now, I think we're talking about what that threshold of dollars should be that needs to go over. So there's operationally, there's things that we need every day that we're not going to wait. We're not going to wait for a board decision on that if we need to buy it. But we want to also be cautious to that and not just run loosey-goosey to have some type of boundaries there.
So what we do is approve an annual CapEx number, and then management has the autonomy and flexibility to swap one. I mean, we don't need to go back to the board and say, we approved $1.1 million this year for CapEx, and we thought we were going to buy a new fork truck that was $40,000, but we decided to put the 40 somewhere else. There's no reason to go back to the board.
That's a great idea. I actually think that's there's something there. I might steal.
So when did you guys decide to have a board? So like obviously you guys probably had like a senior leadership or something. Then
I will give my grandfather 100% props and credit. He had a board developed as long as I can remember. I mean, there's been a board of directors probably since the early 70s. Yeah. He was a quintessential entrepreneur. I mean, he had a handbook back in the 60s that was, I mean, I still have a copy of it. It was ahead of its time. I mean, it was really cool. So he was a really, really astute business person and saw the power of that, of what a board can do early on. It's funny to me, a lot of circles that I run in and other business owners and other companies, even of our size, that don't have boards. And it's kind of a foreign concept to them.
Yeah.
But it's served us very well in terms of being fiduciary to the company.
I mean, for us, we're business partners with Nick's companies, and I report to you guys quarterly, and they're essentially serve as our board, and it's awesome because they all kind of, and it's cool because most of them don't know really what we do other than like Matthew and Adam, but they do a good, like, or Lindsay will bring, like, I don't know, it's just really good perspective. Like, we're hiring, and like they talk about like how we go about hiring, because I don't know. I started this business 5 years ago. I didn't know how to hire people. Right. I still don't know how to hire people. Yeah. But
well, the folks that aren't in the weeds every day are more valuable on the board, because you don't need more people in the weeds. You need somebody that's looking at it from outside looking in, whether it's the emotional thing or whether it's they're thinking about something totally different. And you're like, shoot, I never thought about it that way, So that's
well, and I was thinking like the community, when they looked at Nick's, they were like, wow, they're growing really fast. And then when I joined your guys' company, I was like, oh, you realize that they have a board of advisors? Like, these got like very smart, some are retired CFOs, some are current CEOs of other companies that are helping them grow. They're not just growing to grow. They actually have and I think that was a lot of the board to help you guys.
Oh, absolutely. Has helped us. In fact, I'm going to be giving a talk later today here at FabTech titled How to Survive 100x Growth. And one of the big factors that I attribute is having that advisory board that's helped us navigate the high growth years, for sure.
Your advisory board, is that separate from your board of directors, or?
It is, but we really, the way we've set it up, the board of directors is more of a technicality. The advisory board operates like a board of directors would. And so we have 5 independent advisors, and then the way we set it up is one of those independent advisors sits on the board of directors. We have 5 board of directors, 3 of the 5 are family, so we have the control. And then our CFO, who's an equity owner but not part of the family, he's a minority owner, he sits on the board. So theoretically, he would represent the minority constituency, at the board. And then the one advisor sits on the board of directors, and theoretically, he represents the advisory constituency, right? So if you think about like who the stakeholders are, but almost inevitably, the board of directors meeting's the morning following the advisory board meeting. Almost inevitably, it's just to catch up on last night's meeting, and everybody, you good? We had to vote last night. We have 5 people that we really respect, and what we try to do is the 6 executives who are all equity owners. What we try to do is really come to a pretty good consensus before we even go to those board meetings. And then the board is there to be independent, and they haven't said yes to everything. Sometimes you go back and refine your plan and you come back a quarter later, and sometimes we realize maybe it wasn't as good an idea as we thought it was. But anyways, they vote. And one thing I've set up is that we all leave the room when they vote, and I intentionally have it structured so that I never know who voted what way, because even though these are, very powerful executives, they're still influenced. They can still be influenced. They don't want to disappoint you. They're doing this to help you. And so, the one person carries that collective vote forward. It was a no vote. I don't need to know which 3 voted no or 2 voted yes. It was a no vote. So anyways, that's just a couple little tidbits about how we've set ours up.
In terms of frequency of meetings?
Quarterly. Okay. Yeah, and we send a packet ahead of the meeting. They get financials. They need to have information to know, situational awareness. We try to not get into that stuff in the meetings. I've tried to really push to read the material before you get here. You know, you can read a P&L and a balance sheet. We don't need to spend 20 minutes talking about that unless there's something material there. But otherwise, let's get to looking forward. We're here to look forward, not to look behind you. The information is so you have situational awareness to help us look forward.
That's right.
To be able to look forward. If you've had 2 or 3 really great years and the balance sheet's really strong, you can be a little riskier than if you've had 2 or 3 lean years, right? So they need to know that information.
No, that's cool.
We could benefit from some of that efficiency, I think.
We do.
Just
I think, you know,
distributing
the one thing I'm just
ahead of
hearing too, and I'm curious of your take on it. We've invested quite a bit of money in IT, ERP systems. One of the things that we were always entrenched by my father is know your numbers.
Yeah.
To your point, you got to be able to look forward, but you better know your numbers to make sound decisions on how you're going to move forward.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to what extent you guys have invested in IT and ERP.
We're in the thick of that right
to
now.
know your real-time cost on it, because we have a pretty darn
real-time and
sophisticated
robust
system that I can figure out anywhere I'm at on a job pretty real time and just punch it in.
Well, we do not have that. We have really good gap accounting. You know, the true, you know, accounting book close process where within 5 days following the month we have good closed out books and numbers, and we know. And it's broken down by, you know, business units. We have a lot of P&Ls that roll up, you know. So I can tell you this shop, their profitability last month within 5 days, you know. So we have that, but what we don't have is really good real-time job cost information.
Okay.
So, and our job costing separate from our financial accounting, right? So we are interesting you brought that up. We are in the throes of all that right now. Going to be putting
a little bit of FabTech's about.
We're talking to software companies here at FabTech. We're going to be putting a new accounting package in. We'll run QuickBooks, which, you know, I think half of small businesses or more run. But we're looking at a much more sophisticated, robust accounting package, and then an MRP system that will roll into our accounting.
Yeah, and you can run your financials right out of it then.
Exactly, yeah. And the MRP is where we're going to get the information you talked about, which is, you know, what's our job cost right now, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, work in process is a nightmare right now for our accounting department.
Yeah. Well, it took us a long time to dial that.
It was a long implementation. It was really a customized solution that we bought from a one-man developer or small team. So it took a while to get there. The beauty of it was we could influence it heavily because he was trying to make it for him to sell commercially. Well, I think it ended up being just ours.
Yeah.
He was.
Yeah, there's some pros and cons to that for sure, but we've talked about just trying to do it ourselves too with AI the way it is now.
There's software out there right now that you literally go in, you type in what kind of enterprise solution you want, describe it out, it will develop within 5 minutes, develop a minimal value.
Minimum viability.
MVP. I was going to say MVP, but I can't remember what it stood for. And it gives it to you, and it's active right away, and you're like, oh, that's cool. But you also don't know the ownership of that. You also don't know the security of something like that.
There's a lot to unpack there. We probably could do a whole other episode on that.
So I actually, speaking of that, I think we're going to need to wrap up just because I know someone else needs to use this area, I guess.
I could talk to you guys for...
I know.
This is really cool.
We have some pretty cool other things. I wanted to ask before we... there's just this note. It says the Family Enterprise USA.
Yeah.
What is that?
So I got involved with that, I'm going to say 2 years ago. We were pretty involved in the R&D tax credit, and you know, kind of looking at that. And when the administration changed and some of the policies changed, we got walloped with some pretty good tax bills, and basically wanted to go down and be involved right at the Hill level. So we joined the Family Enterprise USA. And basically go down there quarterly for some meetings with all other family businesses. I'd love to send you the information on this at some point. There's people that fly in all over the place.
My son is really interested. I mean, he's only 11, but he's really into political science and all this stuff. So
what we do is we'll go down for these policy meetings that we sit and we kind of get the spiel from different lobbyists and whatnot back there or down there. But then we actually we go to the Hill. And we spread out, and we may go and talk to 4 or 5 different either representatives or senators, and really just talk and tell them and educate them about family business. A little fun fact I learned down there: family business accounts for 58% of the GDP in the United States. I had no idea that the number was that high. But so anyway, we do that, and then at the end, it culminates with the Family Business Caucus, that there are some people from Congress that come in and sit on, and basically there's a panel of family business owners that really, we have a theme, sometimes it's succession, sometimes it's, taxation and policy, whatever the theme is, we'll have a panel get up and talk about it, and then we'll get to mingle with the senators and the Congress to kind of just educate them on really what family business is all about and how important it is.
Yeah, and for anybody listening that doesn't understand just how impactful something as seemingly simple or trivial as R&D tax credit, when they changed that, that doubled our taxable income. And so think about where that money would have went. I mean, the vast majority of that money would have went right back into the company to get reinvested into equipment. Yeah.
Or philanthropic.
Whatever,
however we support the community.
Yeah, I would say 5 or 10% of that may have went into the pockets of the owners, but the vast majority would have went back into the company and or philanthropic things like you said. Yeah, so tremendous. I mean, something that simple can have a tremendous impact.
Yeah, 100%. So it's been a rewarding endeavor for me just to go down there and be part of it and feel like you do have a voice. You are being heard.
Very cool. Well, thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
And thanks to you guys for coming on the podcast here at the Multi-Press booth. I know you guys came and checked out to make sure you guys were at the right spot yesterday. And being here first thing in the morning, which is really cool, and sneaking in. Sorry, FabTech, maybe I should have said that. Maybe I have to edit that out. I don't know.
And the parent company here, Multi-Press, is Pacific Press. They make large press brakes and shears. So good. Well, I was gonna sell them to you. So if you guys are looking for a press brake, they really are a great company. They've been around a long time.
Fantastic.
We're selling your
selling
press
you guys
brake.
right now.
No, they're located just down the road from us, and
That's awesome.
we actually do some machining and work for them. But great company.
How can people follow along with you guys like after they hear this awesome episode and they're gonna be like, all right, now we gotta go see what are they talking about, all this culture, giving knowledge down to the next generation. How do they follow along with you guys?
So if you just go to our website, www.goodhartsons.com, all our socials are kind of tagged at the bottom.
Yeah.
We have a pretty robust LinkedIn presence, Facebook presence.
You guys on LinkedIn?
So
I'm going to confess. I am not. I don't want to.
Let me put it this way: I am definitely on LinkedIn and I'm connected on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But I've been told by
You're not
Heather,
active.
I'm not. I need to be more of the face of the company and get out there and do more of this.
I know it's hard.
Well, you're great at it.
Well,
You
I was
should.
gonna say I don't know LinkedIn might be like hard as in like to be regular on there, but just even just going in there and scrolling and like commenting and liking and then posting a little bit about what you're doing could inspire. Like Matthew, I literally have people that know Matthew around here because he'll rant, and maybe it's more intentional now, but it used to be you'd go into a job and you're like, oh, hey, check this out, we built this thing, and he'd just talk about it. Like it's kind of cool to see that today we get to build this because of what happened yesterday or something like that.
It's super cool. Yeah, I love it. We appreciate it. This was really
cool.
great.
Yeah, it's
so
my
thank
first
you so much for
podcast.
having
It's
us.
Great to meet
Yeah, I'm
you
going to be
guys.
following along with you guys and love to learn more about what you're doing. You guys are running a great organization, I can tell.
Likewise,
Thank you.
and
We've been blessed.
great to you as well.
Yeah,
Pretty
thank you.
impressive.
Thank you.